Today, I am joined by the founder of Gateway Pundit, Jim Hoff, to go through some of the biggest stories in the news. Jim, thank you for joining me again.
Good to be with you, Stephen.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
So you and I were talking offline. I had said, I thought maybe after the election, we might see like a dip in the media and views, and it's just out of control. Trump continues to dominate the news cycle nationally, internationally. I mean, this guy is an absolute beast.
He always has been. But I think, what I'm seeing right now is just like something we've never seen with Trump. It's amazing that, children who were born 8-9 years ago all say no is Trump. At this point, their whole life has been dominated by Trump. It will be for another 4 years, God willing. And so it's just amazing. And this guy just gets, he's never lost his charisma, his appeal, or his shock and awe of just capturing the media's attention, So all eyes are on Trump, and they will be, and they should be, because he's there's no one like him. We've never seen anybody like this guy.
Yeah. It's been so fun to cover him. I prefer to cover the good news versus the fake news. But institutions like yours, channels like mine, we've just had to push the truth through, push it through all the mainstream media garbage, so that people can see that. Let me get your thoughts on this. So we had Jimmy Carter's funeral. Karen Pence, Mike Pence's wife, refused to shake Donald Trump's hand. Michelle Obama skipped the funeral altogether when she learned she would be seated next to Trump. Trump and Obama were caught multiple times whispering and laughing. One time it evoked dagger eyes from Vice President Kamala Harris, and a lip reader says that Donald Trump asked Obama to speak privately about something that couldn't wait. What are your thoughts on the funeral, his reception there, and then what do you think he and Obama might have discussed?
That is that was just amazing, and to see President Trump come in with his beautiful wife Melania, by the way, she just if he's not stealing the attention, she is, because she's just so spectacular and beautiful. And just lovely in every way. And, the first thing, of course, that I thought when I saw him come in was every one of those people in the pews have talked nasty about President Trump, or they've worked behind his back to destroy him, right? And so it struck me that Mrs. Pence wouldn't shake Trump's hand. What has Trump ever said about Mrs. Pence, right? Nothing. And of course, Trump was not pleased when his former vice president decided to run against him, which was, or when the former vice president was such a wimp on January 6th and couldn't even turn the election back to the states to look at all the fraud that was happening, that we still believe, the fraud or the questionable results. Pence couldn't even do that in 2021, and then we saw this riot just hours later. So I thought Trump, of course, was the bigger man today, sitting next to Barack Obama, who was spying on him. I mean, Barack Obama, no one's ever done that we know of, that a president has ever done that, spied on the incoming president. And he was doing it, and he was trying to destroy Trump too. And they were talking in the White House about how to destroy Trump. And how to hide what they were doing, which was spying. That was that famous meeting in early January 2020, or 2016. I guess it would have been 2017. Sorry about that. It's been so long, right? Where they were talking about how they hide their tracks because they had been spying on Trump. And here Trump is, giggling with them. It's just so funny, isn't it? It's just amazing that Trump can sit there. And the Bushes, I don't know what kind of a reaction they had today, or what happened between them. But the Bushes haven't been nice to Trump. They've been disgusting. They didn't endorse him. I mean, they kept their mouths shut. The Vice President Cheney, of course, was very open about, how Trump couldn't be president again. I mean, who are these people? Trump stands above every one of those people in that church. And it is interesting, too, that at this funeral for Jimmy Carter, Trump is currently telling Panama, we're going to take back this canal, because he sees that China is taking it over. And no other president had the guts to say, no, you're not going to do that. And Trump now is taking back the Panama Canal. And it was because of Jimmy Carter that the Panama Canal was given back to Panama out of the blue. Jimmy Carter's just disaster after disaster, just an America-hating leftist, one of the preeminent America-hating leftists who ever served in the White House. A complete disaster. And part of that was giving the Panama Canal back to Panama when, American had, we lost a lot of lives building that. And we had agreements that it was ours. And anyway, I just thought that was interesting that it would be and Trump sitting there today at Jimmy Carter's funeral.
Yeah, I said to my wife, it was really interesting. It was almost like watching the king enter the courtyard, right? Where all of these people have backstabbed him, tried to go after him, and yet he walks in and they're all kind of on eggshells. He's stealing the attention. And then, but just like in Europe with Jill Biden, he's charming, and next thing Obama's smiling and laughing at his jokes. And he's such a unique personality. I really wish I could be a fly on the wall to what he and Obama had this private conversation about. I don't know if it was insight into ending a war, or if it was, hey, don't try to ruin my presidency again. I don't know. Any thoughts on what that conversation might have been?
I have no idea, but, Obama, as prideful as he is, I can't imagine that it was something, that a real dig, that Trump could have thrown his way. So, but I don't know. It's funny though, but they were just sitting there giggling. I'm wondering how the media is going to react to that. Barack Obama's laughing to Trump's jokes. I mean, how are they going to react? MSNBC must be having a meltdown right now.
Well, Kamala Harris was not happy about it. And, the last time there was a major funeral, it was Barack Obama and Biden saying she's not strong enough to beat Trump. She's no good. That was caught on a hot mic. So she's got bad luck at funerals when it comes to, all of the dignitaries coming together. Yeah,
she's just an afterthought. She won't even, there'll be a few things written about Kamala and people won't care. It's just it's so evident. What has she done? Nothing her whole career. She was moved forward. She has no accomplishments still to this day. She wasn't a very good politician. She was a horrible candidate. This week we saw this Karen Bass, the fires going on in California, and Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, she's just a complete radical. She always has been. Somehow she wins the mayor's office in Los Angeles, and she was asking questions, and it reminded me of Kamala, how she just froze, and then she just stared off in space, and then she ran out of the room. It's very similar to what we saw with Kamala in some of her interviews. She couldn't respond. It was so unbelievable. I mean, Stephen, you and me and your children and anybody else would have an answer, at least an answer. But these people were so bad. She couldn't even respond. She just ran out of the room. She's just she's like Kamala Jr. And we see the destruction out there in LA, and maybe this is a wake-up call for the left, but I think that after the election where they got shellacked, and I think a big part of that was because they're just, crazy. They're just, so off the rocker right now that they, nothing makes sense with them. They run on fantasy. Their policies are fantasy. And so They lose the election, and now the first big thing that happens is the fires in Los Angeles, and they completely fall on their face again. They can't even keep water in the fire hydrants. It's just so shocking how bad the Democrats are right now. You know, that they can't even keep water in the fire hydrants, and they lost a whole city. I don't know if you've seen that photo of Pacific Palisades, and it's you know, up in the, it must be a drone in the sky taking that picture, and it's the whole place is just burnt to a crisp. So
it's breaking my heart. I don't know, like I've been to that part of California several times, and it's just absolutely heartbreaking to me. You know, I do wonder if, you know, privately Kamala is thinking, hey, now's my chance to run against Gavin Newsom to be governor, because I mean, the Democrats in California have screwed this up so bad. I can't imagine Gavin Newsom recovers from this. If he tries to run for president, everybody will bring this up. I mean, like you said, they don't even have water in the fire hydrants. They've spent billions and billions and billions of dollars. They've completed almost no water projects. Years ago, Donald Trump gets a question. He said, this might be the favorite question I've ever received. Why is there no water in California? It's because of the Democrats in California. There's millions and millions of gallons that could come down to the Los Angeles area. Instead, they reroute it to the Pacific Ocean, and then they have these horrible fires that they can't fight. How, in your estimation, how badly have Democrats messed this up?
Well, I think Democrats, you know, they moved into California in the 80s, and they started destroying the state in the 90s, early 2000s. And I think what it is you can have sensible leadership. And you look at our ancestors and the people in California, the pioneers there, they built up the state. They looked, you know, towards future generations. They looked for growth in this state. They built all these water projects. You know, they had the dams. They had all of this. Really, you know, they were just way ahead of their time with a lot of their projects. They set up the state with electricity, with water, and you have this very functioning state in the most beautiful spot on earth. You know, with weather-wise, it's just so lovely out there. And the Golden State, and then Democrats take over, and they can go for a while. You know, Democrats can go for a while off the luxury of taking over, you know, a jurisdiction that had some sensible leadership before them. But eventually, it starts to catch up. And now what we're seeing is this total collapse in everything, because they don't make sense. Their policies suck. They're focusing on ridiculous things. They're complete radical Marxists. They have the open borders. They're paying for the free healthcare for all of the illegal immigrants who walk in the state. I mean, this is insanity, and it's finally catching up in the people. I think when you see there's no water in the fire hydrants, you start to understand we're really screwed. What have we been putting up with? It's going to be interesting, though, to see what happens. I do love, though, that my friend Mike Cernovich had said yesterday, Trump needs to move in the state, declare it a disaster, and take over some of the state and this nonsense that they're promoting, including the elections, where they can have voting counting for several weeks after an election. To where all the Republicans in Republican areas eventually lose their seats, and they do this, election after election, and it's allowed. And then, of course, they made asking someone for an ID, they made that illegal. I mean, it's not just they don't ask, they made it illegal there. So they don't have elections. We really don't know what the true vote is out there. And I hope Trump heard what Mike Cernovich said. He needs to do that, take over that state. Why are we accepting the results from that state when they don't have elections? That isn't an election. When you don't know who's voting, you're punished if you ask if they're the real person when they're voting. They have illegals giving driver's licenses. We don't know how many of them are voting. Their voter rolls are bloated. They do mail-in ballots only. And then after the election, they count for 3 or 4 weeks in back rooms till the Democrat wins. Why is the rest of the country suffering because of California's, fraudulent elections? They should do something on that. I hope Trump takes Mike Cernovich up on that. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I think that's a really great idea. I saw somebody else wrote on Twitter, don't be shocked that California can't put out fires. They can't even count votes, or they can't even decide an election within 5 weeks, So it's just like everything's behind. I mean, I'm reading online, Mayor Bass, she just canceled $20 million worth of firefighter budget. The head of the fire program out there is a woman. She said her number one focus is to get more women in uniform, not to make sure that there's no fires. They don't have water in the pipes, so they can't even put these fires out. And then I read just before getting on with you, over 100 fire-related vehicles are broken down in California because the government can't find mechanics to fix the government equipment. It's a total disaster, and I think it's going to come back to bite them in the butt. Have you seen Adam Carolla's response to this whole thing?
I did. I watched that video this morning. I assume it was from a couple days ago, but when he put this out during the fire.
Yeah, where he's basically saying, you watch, the bluest of the blue Democrats of Hollywood are about to go red. And he talks about, you think they're mad now that their house burned down, that their insurance was canceled, that they just figured out that almost all of their headaches are related to the Democrat governor and the Democrat leadership out there. And then he said, now you wait till they have to deal with the Pacific Coast environmentalists that won't let them rebuild their mansion for 3 to 5 years. And he said they are going to lose their minds, and they're going to go red. They're going to have this major wake up and go, wait a minute, why are we letting our beautiful state of California go to hell because of LGBTQ DEI hires and environmental stuff that doesn't really matter? I think it'll be interesting to see if his words come true.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just thought I saw that. I thought that was brilliant. I thought he was spot on. And we'll see how long it takes to rebuild. But you're right. He's saying 3 years. He says expect 3 years. These people who think they get back in there and they're going to build up, right away. They're going to get the lumber in their yard next week. He said no. It's going to take 3 years for you to get just the permits and for them to start, building in the area. And he also mentioned that, these are anti-humanists. He also mentioned they don't want people in these areas. They don't want people. They want to preserve it for all of the animals. These people are just stone cold crazy, and they voted for it. So now we get to see this play out in the state. And God bless them. I hate to see this. I know a friend of mine, John David, he lost his home out there. He wrote this wonderful song, what is it, American Made, I'm American Made, that came out this past year. Trump would play it at his rallies. Very nice guy. He lost his house. It's just very sad for everyone. But they chose this. So
yeah. One thing that I thought was really cool is, do you remember the old Hollywood actor Steve Guttenberg? He was in Cocoon and Men and Three Babies.
Right.
There was this guy out there. He's all masked up in the smoke, and he's going crazy trying to get people to move their cars. Like, he's trying to be a really, really good citizen. And then a journalist walks up and he pulls down his mask, and you see that it's Steve Guttenberg. And I'm like, oh, bless this guy's heart. He's just out there like trying to save houses. He's telling people, leave your keys in the car. I'm staying behind. I'm going to risk my life. I'll move your car. Let's get the firemen in here. I mean, the thing is a total disaster. Speaking of fires, what is your take on this veteran Matthew Livelsberger blowing up this Elon Musk Tesla Cybertruck in front of the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas? I mean, this is obviously a sign to Elon, to Trump, to try to grab attention. He's a bomb specialist, does a small bomb. They say he shot himself. Now there's footage. He was definitely still alive. He's exposing these gravitic drones. What are your thoughts on that whole story?
I didn't see that latest, what you said, that he was still alive, because I have to look at that. Yeah, and it could be even on our side. I missed that. That's really big, because the day that it happened, and we're thinking it's a Tesla, and he's using fireworks and a gas can, and here he is, just expert in the military, Green Beret, and he's traveled around. He's knows munitions, and here he puts some fireworks in his car in a Tesla, no less, right? A Tesla truck that's built like a rock, and of course it's almost a good advertisement for Elon Musk. You buy one of our cars, you're going to be pretty safe. But I just thought the whole thing was strange. At first, we thought he must have been dead, and they drove him up there with the automatic Tesla automatic drive. But then now that you say that, that's just completely different. And it was I'm sure it was the FBI who said that he was dead before and that was curious too. They said he was dead, and then the car exploded. So how are you dead and then you blow up your car? None of it makes sense. It purposely doesn't make sense. We'll probably never know what really happened. And once again, it's one of these FBI tricks they play on the American public, and they just leave you hanging. Just like that kid who was on the roof in Butler, Pennsylvania. We still have no idea, so many questions about that guy. He was supposedly hanging out with somebody who was going to the near the FBI building in Washington, D.C. Some older guy was visiting him at his work 20 times or something, and you're like, who does that to a 19-year-old? It's just so weird. That whole story. So, here we are. And but I did not know that he was still alive. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I like how the FBI is like, I don't know why you guys don't trust us just because we secretly burned and cremated the Trump assassin's body. Like, I don't know why you guys don't trust us. Like, we just burned it in the middle of the night and didn't even tell Congress for several weeks. Just so strange. Okay, I'll give you the reference in case you or one of your amazing journalists wants to write an article, but Colonel Daniel Davis, I think you can find him over on X. He's got video and slowed down footage where you can see the bomb explode and the guy's face turns away from the flames, and then it's over.
Wow.
So they were able to go in and slow that down, and they're like, okay, number one, the type of gun that he had would have completely exploded his head. You can clearly see his face, but then when you slow down the frame, you see the ignition of the bomb and his face, he pulls away. Anyway, it happens really fast. So they've gone frame by frame. I can send that to you after, but very interesting. And I agree. I think the FBI immediately started putting out a narrative, and then they're going to let more emergencies happen and people will forget and move on. Okay, final question for you, Jim. What is going on with Mark Zuckerberg? I mean, this guy, he shuts down political talk on his social media platform, specifically conservative conversation about politics. He puts $400 million into the 2020 election. 90% of that money ends up in Biden blue areas that needed votes or fake votes. Now he's talking to Trump, calling him a badass. He's apologized to Congress in a letter about Facebook's behavior, says that the FBI pressured him to cover up the Hunter Biden laptop. And now he's going to remove fact checkers and try to run Facebook more like Elon Musk. Elon Musk is saying, good job. This is the way to do it. What are your thoughts on all of that?
It's obviously a good development. I don't know, people point out too, he went to Mar-a-Lago and volunteers to give Trump $1 million for his inauguration. $1 million for a guy who's worth how many billion? Very nice gesture, and we saw the same thing with I believe the Apple CEO went in and did the same thing. They got all kinds of money, but they gave Trump a little bit of something anyway. I think with Zuckerberg, you know, I wish I could read his mind. I don't know what's going on there. I know that in 2016, Gateway Pundit was ranked, according to Harvard, the 4th most influential conservative media outlet that pushed Trump over the finish line.
Wow.
So Harvard had this whole list that they came out because they're wondering, how does Trump win? The media was against him. How did he win? So then they start looking at social media and stuff. And people forget about this, but it was huge in 2016. And I know that because I was part of it. And your numbers would just go super viral. Well, immediately afterwards, Zuckerberg in 2017, February 2017, he started these algorithm changes. And eventually we lost all of our traffic. And then we kept our Facebook page up, but we get no traffic from it. It used to be 1/3 of our website's traffic. Today it's I don't even know if it's 1%, right?
Wow.
Anyway, so they just obliterated it. I thought it was just us, and then then a few months later I started hearing from other people. It was them too. All of these huge conservative Facebook pages with millions of followers put out of business. Completely put out of business. That's forgotten today. That's forgotten. I tried to tell people about it. I went to Congress a couple times, walked around, knocked on doors with a couple friends who had the same thing had happened. A few people listened to us. Most of them ignored us. I did speak in front of Congress in 2018. I was one of the first to talk about Facebook censoring people, and but they obliterated the right, and they just cut everybody out. Unless you were one of these couple people who had a special deal in the back room with them. And I know a couple outlets that did that, and they have a pretty significant Facebook page today. And you can look at the list and you can see who they are. It's because they had a deal with Zuckerberg. It wasn't because they were better. It wasn't because they were putting out anything that was spectacular. It was because they made a deal, and part of that deal was they wouldn't lift up Trump, and they wouldn't talk about some of these issues like election integrity and different things like that. So then they got to keep their traffic. We didn't go down. We didn't have a chance to go down that road. They just blocked us out. So here's Zuckerberg now. I do know also that Facebook's, over the years, Facebook was very prominent about 10 years ago, very much so. It's come down. Twitter's gone up. More people are doing different things. Instagram's around, TikTok's around, Telegrams. People are using Telegram. They're losing a lot of their users. So maybe this was something that he did to try to save his business. I really have no idea. I hope this is a trend for him. I hope he wants to go back to be free and fair. But we got obliterated even during COVID. We put out stories, reports where we had pictures from inside the Wuhan lab of them working with mice and COVID, and we would get a fact check on that. We would challenge the COVID narrative. We were always right. 6 months out, we were always right, and they would always block us and then take our stories down. So he's saying he's getting away from those fact checkers. That's great, but every conservative outlet that was worth anything is gone. So I don't know. I think the fact that he's admitting that they didn't have free and fair platform, maybe there's some lawsuits coming. I don't know. And maybe there should be. I haven't looked into it yet, but I'm certainly open to it. But he destroyed a lot of people and a lot of conservatives and took away a significant part of our income, and most of those other websites, they just folded. Yeah. So they're gone today. It's very sad.
Yeah, and I'm not quite sure what to make of him, because this could be self-preservation. This could be, oh wow, wait a minute, I got red pilled. I don't really know what it is, but I'm always cautious when people look like they've been red pilled, or they're suddenly making this change in ideology or behavior. I just don't want it to be a Zuckerberg that I run my ship into, and I trust him, and then next thing oh, it's not a mirage, it's a Zuckerberg that I've just crashed my Titanic into. Dang it! So we'll have to see how that develops. One thing about Trump is, he's even said this. The first go around, everyone was against me. This time, they all seem to want to be my friend, and I just, I hope he's cautious that they're not being a fake friend. Hopefully they are being a friend to him and a friend to America, so that we can truly make America great again. But hopefully he takes some of these past enemies' words with a grain of salt.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will see.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Jim, I want to thank you for coming on, and your courage, your team's courage. You guys put out such incredible information. I use your website as a resource regularly. And I really appreciate the fact that you guys just keep putting the truth out there, and the fact that you're willing to take time out of your busy day to come on my show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Stephen. Have a great year.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to put a direct link to the website so that people can check that out, thegatewaypundit.com. And I, again, hope you have a great rest of your day.